Hi, it's Joe Morgan with the Tech Leader Spotlight podcast, where we interview tech leaders to learn about their journey and leadership lessons learned along the way. This show is brought to you by the Tech Professional No Regret Money Plan, where we help tech professionals who know what they're doing well financially, but aren't certain if it's enough and want to know that they don't have to worry about their money because their money is going to help them accomplish the things they want to do in life. We help you with things like investing cash wisely, making the most of stock awards, minimizing your tax bill. And overall, we create clarity and confidence so you can spend less time worrying about this stuff. If you'd like more information on this, look me up on LinkedIn. That's Joe Morgan at Best Financial Life. Today, I'm very excited on the podcast to have Venkata Kolla, who is a lead software engineer at Salesforce. And Venkata is an experienced leader who specializes in optimizing large-scale, high-performance enterprise solutions. Welcome to the podcast, Venkata.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
So, optimizing large-scale, high-performance enterprise solutions. So, explain to me, what does that mean to you?
Thanks for the introduction. I work at Salesforce as a lead software engineer, and part of my job is like building a distributed software systems which will be scaling for millions of users. So if you see our company Salesforce, we are a SaaS company, so we provide software as a solution and also platform as a solution for our customers, and we have a lot of customers. And all these people, all these are customers, and our customers would have customers as well because we provide a platform as well, a CRM platform. So that means like at a time there will be millions of users using our products, which means like there will be so many requests and the traffic would be hitting our servers. And our job is like we need to make a product, not only making our product, also we need to scale our product so that the customer will have still have a better experience on that. So my job is like building these distributed systems, and there can be like a lot of things that go in technically, right? So it involves like solving a lot of technical challenges, like how do you keep your databases consistent? How do you keep your app server is not crashing? And also how do you keep your user experience is still good? Like in case if something happens, if things go south, how do you still make sure that the user experience is still not get impacted? And it because that builds the trust in our customers, right? So my job involves we have in software we have two kind of things we call functional requirement and non-functional requirement. So my job is like initial my earlier career days I focused on building some functional requirements, building a product. And nowadays as I grew into the technical and also as I became a little more experienced, so I started working on the non-functional aspect. The non-functional aspect is mostly if you see the scaling aspect. So we work on like a lot of edge computing stuff where like we try to do onboard a third party companies a product like CDN systems into Salesforce, and we use them to scale our products better. And also we do a lot of asynchronous programming stuff, asynchronous processing, and all this kind of stuff. So it's basically essentially like when you open a website and when you try to do some your own operation, like you try to open a flight website and you try to book a ticket there. There are a lot of millions of things happening in between, and people like us who will be building those kind of those systems so that the user experience for you is better and also seamless.
That is so crucially important because the one thing that drives users mad is when the software doesn't do what they expect it to do when they expect to do it, right?
Exactly, that's true. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, great. I'm glad you're out there making those things better because boy, it does make the user's life so much better. So let's get to our regular questions. Our first question is, what does leadership in the tech space mean to you?
Okay. So I'm glad you asked me that question. If you had asked me that question maybe like 5, 6 years back, maybe I wouldn't have a clear answer. But now I can answer that confidently. So, but I want to share that what leadership in tech space means to me by simply talking about what I learned from great leaders I worked with in my career so far, and how
Right?
it shaped the way I interact with people today and how I deal with the team I work with. So usually a leader begins with a clear vision, and I mean, it's like what and the how. So in my experience, strong leaders always start with clarity. It's not just like, hey, here is what we are trying to build, but they also let the team know, or they also provide the people and the context of, hey, here is why it matters, and here is what good it looks like, and here is the direction of it. So the best leaders I have seen, they don't dictate tasks. They articulate the vision so well that the team can take the vision and internalize it, and from there they'll take it on. And I have seen leaders who create such clarity, and the team don't need constant check-ins. They know the destination is, and they're moving towards it, and they know why it matters to them. And for me, that is a starting point of a leadership. And the second aspect I see is like they choose the right people to own the right parts, and they give the freedom. So it's pretty much like great leaders know what exactly who should be owning what. They don't micromanage, they just orchestrate things. They match people's strength with the needs of the project. For example, like a poor leader would say, hey, here is the task, just finish it. But a good leader says, here is the vision. I trust you to take it forward. And then they step back. So when I observed this in really early in my career, it showed me like the leadership is not about personal brilliance. It is all about enabling the brilliance of the whole team. So I like playing chess. Maybe I'll give that an analogy of that. So a real leader plays chess with the team, not checkers. So I mean everyone plays thoughtfully, and everyone is empowered. And the another aspect I see, a continuous validation of decisions. So this is the part I like about. So one of the biggest misconceptions in tech is that leadership means I decide and then we will defend forever, like no matter what it is. But things change. So especially in tech world, things move pretty fast, right? So I mean anything which you thought is a great idea today, it can quickly become obsolete tomorrow. So it is essential for everyone, for the good leader to consistently assess the decision they made, whether the vision is still being relevant or not in the current market trends. So I mean it's okay to fail fast as long I mean it's okay to fail as long as you fail fast. So in Google, they celebrate any project that fail fast. And
Mhm.
that was a very fascinating point when I learned that. So the point is they're happy they did not drain more resources on a failing project. So that's what a leader is also need to be like. It's okay, the visions can go obsolete, and they can always like need to make the decisions on the fly. So as long as they're okay with that mindset, that will make them good leader. And another thing is like, what if the failure comes, right? Because no matter how prepared you are, how clear your vision is, how strong your team is, so there are certainly, I mean, there are some things that is beyond everybody's control. And that means like when the failure comes, despite all the measures have been taken care, how do you deal with it? But you know what? The good leaders, they don't start dealing with it when the failure comes. They would have already had this mindset, like they would have already thought about, hey, accepting the reality, right? So they know failure can come at any point, and if that is the case, what do they really do? How do they want to act on it? They would have already had a plan B, or they would have already prepared what they need to do very ahead of time, like during the planning itself. So usually they don't panic, they don't blame the team, they just stabilize the room, and they protect the people, and they handle the situation with a sense of maturity that makes the team feel safer. And this is something I respect deeply because I have seen it change my entire team's culture. And also, I'll give some anecdotes that I firsthand learned from my managers, right? So this
Great.
is yeah, this is something I learned when I was in a very initial early of my career, the art of saying no. So early in my career, I had a real weakness. Even I did not realize that. So I could not say no. If someone asks me
Mm,
for something, I would try to take it on it, partly because of it's my personality, and partly because of insecurity, and partly because I
mm,
felt I am junior and I wanted to please everybody. So
mm,
one of my managers, they noticed this after a couple of months. I reported to them, and then they sat in one of the one-on-ones. This is what they said: hey Venkat, your growth depends on your ability to say no, not aggressively but confidently. So then he gave me a brilliant exercise. So every week until we meet next time for the one-on-one, in that gap, so I had to consciously say a few no's, be it is to himself, or be it him to some architect or some my skip level manager also. I only have two conditions. I need to justify myself, why I made sense to say no, and also communicate that clearly, like calmly and
Yeah.
respectfully. So this changed me everything. So maybe people,
That's great. Let me just ask you a follow up on that. So
yeah,
the
yeah.
first time that you had to do that, how
Mhm.
hard was that?
Wow. So it was pretty hard. So the hardest part is because I was like, I have this kind of insecurity, right? Hey, I'm like, I think the first no I said was to my skip level manager. So I'm like, hey, this is the skip level manager. He's the one who ensures your, I mean, who evaluates, who is evaluating your review and all these things, right? So no, how does it takes like because I was also thinking in the terms of like how is that person's personality, whether how they will take it no or not. So I was just
Yeah.
overthinking all these things. But you know what? Later, what I realized was, so if I am able to make sense of why I am saying no, and if I can provide the explanation, then I'm good. And I'm thankful for my direct manager at that time, because for all the no's I said, first couple of weeks, he gave explanation why Venkat is saying no, because
Mm,
this is the reason behind it, and this is part of the exercise, and also he have a valid reason. And you think I actually I mean that helped me to have a lot of time for myself. Yes, that is true. That so that way I could actually focus on things that are more important. But actually what it the another advantage I have seen, that is a bigger advantage I have seen, which I did not foresee, is the confidence, right? The way it actually built the confidence for me, because saying no, it takes some guts. So if
mm.
I am content enough to say no, that means
Mm.
yes, I am actually doing my homework, and also I know what I'm doing. So
Well,
that
there's
kind
a very important part of that though, because a lot of people say you can't say yes to everything. You need to say no to things. But what your manager added, or maybe what you added yourself, is to be able to explain why and to make that
exactly
explanation make sense to everybody.
right.
And the confidence, I bet, came from the explanation more than just saying no, right?
You're spot on that. Yes, exactly. So yeah, a lot of times, yeah, sometimes you can provide the explanation to the other person who you are saying no, but you know, a lot of times the main core aspect is you need to explain yourself. If I am convinced that hey, this I'm saying no for this person is there is a valid reason and this is the reason. If I am convinced myself, then that's it. That's what built my confidence. If the other
Mm.
person still insists, hey, why are you saying no? Then yeah, I'm happily provide whatever, however I've got convinced myself, I can just provide the same explanation. On top of it, I know my manager is there to defend defend for me. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
and so having a good leader that supports you in that effort, of course, is super important.
exactly.
But that's how the good leader gets good people on their team too, right? It goes
Yes.
both ways.
Right. So just in that way, there is another skill. There is another anecdote which I want to give. This is something I learned in my mid career. So this is the art of delegation. So
Mm,
it's like in this case, it's the same manager. I reported to this manager for quite a long. So he gave me another powerful lesson. So at that time, I believed my performance was measured by how many things I personally delivered.
mm,
So I held on to, like, I tried to hold on whatever come to my plate to do it everything by myself. And then like one day he told me, hey, management doesn't measure like heroes. Management measures the teams. So he taught me that delegation is not offloading. That's not how the management sees. Delegation is not laziness. Delegation is not scaling. It's like scaling yourself through others. So isn't it like this is the exact things he said? Like delegation is scaling yourself through others. After all, we are
mm,
human beings. Our time is limited, right? So we want to do so much, but definitely it is the art is like you need to know where your time makes more valuable, and then where you are empowering other peoples to do it. So if something, you know, if your teammate can do, like somebody who's actually onboarding can do, just delegate it and then help them and guide them. So that way it will build the bond between you and that person, means like you want the team, and also it will make you to focus more on the things that are more important to you. So ultimately that will drive the productivity, and that's what management loves. The more productivity is what the management loves.
mm.
So if you teach someone to do what you do, you haven't reduced your value, you have multiplied it. So that's when I started delegating, and that team moving faster and others grow, and the bandwidth cleared for doing more things. So and that delegation aspect I still enjoy till today. Like, hey, if I really see this is something which I can help others to do it, then yes, I'll be happily delegate that. So yeah, that is another thing I learned it in my mid career. Yeah. and
Yeah, that's
and because
terrific. Yeah, go
right.
ahead. You have another?
Oh yeah, they have another, but this is not. This is something I did not learn from my manager, but this is something one of my friend who taught me this. So the art of productivity between the efficiency. So
Mhm.
I'll just, I mean, I have a friend who always says like, hey, people often get confused between being productive versus being efficient. So there is a fine line of difference between these two, and the people who realize the difference and the people who focus on efficiency is the one who actually makes the difference. So I'll just tweak this into the corporate perspective, right? So I call it like the art of being productive versus impactful. So I'll give one small example. Like we were working on a product some time back, and we engineering teams, we always have the tendency to drift towards making a great product in terms of like technical aspect. So we often do over engineering. We often do over engineer. But what we don't realize is that also comes with the cost of time. So
Mhm.
in this project, we are actually trying to like come up with a very good design, which actually maybe like 3 to 6 months of roadmap, and then like solving it in the best possible way. But then we have a product manager. They came and they said, "Hey, whatever you're doing is really good, but you know what makes impactful is, see, the customer does not need right away all that things. What they need is currently they are just trying to have a some basic version of like an MVP, and that's what they actually need it. So you just take only like maybe a couple of sprints or maybe a month, provide the MVP. On top of it, we get customer feedback, and then we see which direction we need to take it. So that actually it's a very impactful lesson, right? Because we engineers, we try to think, hey, the success means like giving the best technical product, but it's not always the case. So we need to think in the aspect like what makes more impactful. Sometimes we need to prioritize time over the quality, sometimes we need to prioritize quality. So yeah, that kind of mindset also really helped. So
So I'll throw in another anecdote on that, the
mhm,
importance of impact and efficiency versus productivity. This
mhm,
is going back, let me think,
mhm,
20, no, 30 years ago. Okay.
mhm,
30 years ago, I was managing investments working in a small firm,
mhm,
and we had this outside IT consulting firm who built a program
mhm,
to review all of the investments every night,
mhm,
and with the parameters we gave them, suggest the trades we should do the next day.
uh-huh,
And the trades were not based on, what's going to go up or down. It was based on getting each portfolio towards the model that we had built for that portfolio. So like, where's it different from the model and what should be done?
right,
And it took 6 months to put together, and it
uh-huh,
was a beautiful program. It worked exactly perfectly. The
mhm.
problem was it
Yeah.
took 26 hours to run.
Wow.
So you hit go, and then you get the answer,
See,
a day
ex-
after you need it.
exactly, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that's a very valuable point, right? So that is
Yeah.
the reason why it is important to understand the value, I mean, the impactful versus
Yeah.
being productive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So you said so many good things there. I really appreciate it. And so I'm
Hmm.
just going to hit the highlights. So the question was, what does leadership in the tech space mean to you? You mentioned have a clear vision, begin there,
Right.
choose the right people to own the right parts. And the way I've heard that said other places is get the right people on the bus, but then you got to get the right people in the right seats on the bus as well.
Exactly. Right.
Enable the brilliance of the whole team. I love that. Play chess,
Right.
not checkers. And then
Right.
fail fast, of course. That's something that you hear a lot in the tech space, but is really,
Hmm.
really hard to do.
Right.
Especially if you're working in sort of a solo project or in a very small team, it's really
Hmm.
hard to do. And
Yep.
then and the last thing on the leadership, stabilize the room and protect the people. So
Correct.
when failure is coming, be prepared for that as a leader and
Yep.
be in a good position to take care of the people. Great
Yep.
stuff, great stuff. And then your anecdotes are really good too.
Yep.
Be able to say no and explain why you say no. This may be more specific to where you work, but management measures teams, not heroes. I do think that's true over time everywhere, but
Yep.
sometimes the heroes, win in the short run, and that gives a poor motivation to future activity. So if you're working someplace where they focus on team success, count yourself lucky. That's
Yep.
really good. Scale yourself through others. Another thing you said, and then finally, efficiency versus productivity, the importance of impact.
Yep, yep.
Terrific stuff. A lot of stuff. We could probably spend a whole hour on all of that, but
I
we don't
know.
have an hour, unfortunately. So let's go to our next question. So there's a lot of challenges in the job market today, as you know. More layoffs announced. It seems like every other week or so. What piece of advice would you recommend for someone to make themselves more resilient in the case that layoffs come their way?
I think this is the most timely question pretty much anybody can ask. So I'm glad you asked this. So yeah, I think layoffs are a reality in tech. Unfortunately, I have seen so many layoffs in my career as well, and I have seen through them, and nobody is immune to it, and we all need to accept it, and accepting the reality of layoffs is the thing which we need to do the first thing. And with that being said, so let me break down this into two parts. Since I'm in an engineering mindset, I always try to do it in a like multiple parts so that we can focus on each. So how to avoid being laid off, like make yourself indispensable, how to do it. So this is what I see like in a reality check. So ask yourself these three questions. So like if my manager had to pick two to three people they absolutely don't want to lose, would I be in that list? So
Mhm.
honestly, you know the answer. And ask the same question for your skip level manager. Like if my skip level manager had to name three people from each team, would I be mentioned? I'm sure for this thing also you would be knowing the answer. So, and probably try to do the same thing depending on your organization size. Maybe you may want to ask the same thing for your skip level managers also. So the point I'm trying to convey here is you just cannot work in a silo. You need to make sure your efforts are visible at least to your skip level manager's manager, like three levels up. So they need to know what you are and what kind of impact you are doing. So and people often think, hey, it is my manager's job who actually need to advertise my efforts. But trust me, there is only so much manager can do. Ultimately, you are the good brand ambassador for yourself. So you need to showcase what you built. Like maybe like you create demos, showcase what you have, what you are building on, and like have a visual proof of your work and share it with your leadership and document your impact. Like writing posts about the problems you solved and quantify the contribution and also share it broadly and communicate it up. And so again, like I got to warn, like closing stories without visibility, like working in a silo and not caring if managers know your work, it's like it is something, it's a career suicide. We have to change that. If anybody is doing that thing, we have to change it. So being said that, yeah, you are doing good work and your manager and skip level manager, they all know it. But there is another critical parameter a lot of people might miss. So because until above that level nobody can recognize or nobody knows what you are. You know what they care about, the C level and even that higher level people, they care about what your team or what your org is delivering. For example, like if you are working on your company's bread and butter or their next big bet, then yes, you must be in safe zone. And if like there are like there is zone one is probably like core revenue drives, so the products that make the money today for the company and the company's bread and butter, and they're extra careful in cutting there. Because sometimes even the how good you are working in your team in your org, but if your org itself becomes redundant, then you are still like a part of the layoffs bus, right?
Mhm.
So and also there is another thing is like every company strategically invest their next biggest move, right? For example, like nowadays all the companies going towards AI. So where your company is investing for future, like where the dollar of your company is going into. So you need to find out that and you need to try to be in that thing. Either you need to be in the bread and butter or you need to be in the your company's next biggest bet. So like how AI initiatives right now, most companies are trimming elsewhere to fund this aspect. And so that is the reason it is critical to be in that next biggest thing of your company. And when layoff comes, companies protect the revenue generating teams and also they protect their strategic future bets. And everything else is like vulnerable. So that is why it is important for you to like how my team is generating revenue, how my team is building the future. If neither, consider moving this internally.
Mhm.
So and the other thing I would give is like this is from my personal aspect, thinking big. So this is especially for people early in the career. Thinking the big picture is a very strategic thing one has to do. Like understand how your work fits in the bigger picture. Just don't think, hey, I got a story, I just finished the story, and don't like not caring about how your story is fitting into the bigger picture of your product or your company's product. So you need to think about that. Like your feature, your product, and the company strategy. And think like, how does this connect with other teams also? Like, it took me 4 to 5 years to understand this importance. Like, it took longer to learn how to do it right. The game changer for career, like the high level thinking advantage. And what this looks like is like talk to people in other teams, like understand their challenges, see the how the
Mhm.
see the broader context, and find the connection points. And everyone else sees their own perception, but few see the gaps between the teams. So you solve the gaps, that gives a higher visibility. So
Mhm.
yeah, so this all like the thing what so far whatever explained, this makes your company you made to think you are non-dispensable. But again, since there is only so much we can do, there are always certain things that beyond our control. Let's
Yes.
say, yeah, the layoffs happen, and unfortunately, you are part of it, and that can be very well happen too. So how do
Mhm.
we recover quickly, right? So this is another part, right? So now no matter what you do, as I said, like nobody's immune. So there are like I see there are two aspects we need to do to make sure ourselves immune to layoffs. I mean, the one is like networking. So networking is your safety net. So for example,
Yep.
like networking is something you cannot negotiate and you have to be. So you cannot remain an introvert and expect opportunities to find you. So you need to do networking, especially I see like two sets of people. One is the people you work with, like in your company or whoever is, like you need to connect with them, probably LinkedIn or somewhere, and you need to talk to them just like in a maybe in a lunch chat or somewhere. Hey, this is what our team is building, what you are building, and this is the interesting problem you have solved. Like that, build your network. Just try to the know the people, as many people as possible, so that they know you and you know them, and so that way they both the people can be benefited. And the other thing is, so this is the mistake I have done a lot of time in my career, that is like not talking to the people outside my company or outside domain. So
Mhm.
you need to go to meetups, and or maybe just talk to, like attend some meetings outside your company, so that you know what other companies are doing, what kind of problems people are solving other, because that will open up a lot of bigger opportunities, and like it will open up your thinking as well, like how you can become more mature thinking, like if other company is doing something really good, how you can actually bring that into your company. And also like it's always good to learn what they're doing, right? It's good to learn and also fun. So like if you see in Bay Area, like there are like a lot of meetups happen, and nowadays there are so many meetups are online as well. So this is a very good platform where we can go and explore, so that in case if anything happens, because when layoffs come for you from your company, it is always outside the company you would look for, right?
Yeah.
So that is the reason it is very important to build your own network. So I'll just give you one practical example. So why the networking is so important. So imagine nowadays if a company make a job posting, within LinkedIn itself, within hours, you see hundreds of people applying, and within days, it will become to thousands. And now LinkedIn is only one channel. There are several other channels where companies would get resume. So for one job opening, if the recruiter has to see these many resumes, humanly it is not possible. So they will do some bots or AI to help. They take help of technology. But the problem with help of technology, I'm pretty sure somebody who actually have lesser experience than you, they know how to build a better resume that can beat your resume despite you having more experience or more suitable candidate for that job. So if you see here, the problem is there is a very less chance the recruiters or the hiring managers can get to your resume, if you are, even though you are a very much suitable candidate. So then how else you need to approach this? So the network. So most of the times what happens is like they try to post the job opening in their own in their company circle, and in their technical circle, like people who they meet during the in probably in the LinkedIn and these kind of places. And there those channels are actually the one they really look at, because if I know somebody who is really suitable for attend a job where my ex-colleague is looking for, if I refer that guy, then definitely they will consider their resume. So that way they get through referrals the bunch of resumes, a limited number of resumes, and they go through the resumes and they filter out and they make calls to some of them. So if you see here, so if you don't have in that kind of network, then definitely no matter how much effort you do, it's like you will be like one AI bot is like just throwing your resume away,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be in that position. So that's why it is very important to be in the network. It is not only for your next gig, and also it is for the learning aspect as well. So
Yeah, if you're a hiring manager and you're looking to fill a position, you much rather have some sort of personal referral And the reasons are many, but one of them is it cuts through um, a lot of the things that can be put on a resume that aren't necessarily true. Like if somebody else is willing to stand up for you and say, "Hey, I know Venkata, I know he's a good guy. I know he would be a good fit. I know his personality fits." All of that. And if that person has a good connection with the hiring manager, that far outweighs anything that technology can do with a batch of resumes.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that is surely true. And the other advantage is like, so just now you made a statement, hey, the job situation, the job market outside is pretty difficult, right? Actually, I want to counter that. You know why I'm able to counter? Because I've been attending a lot of meetups lately, and I know there are so many people, they said the kind of cool work they are doing, they are hiring for people. So it's just that if I was not going and meeting these kind of people, I would still be in the mindset, hey, the job market outside is pretty bad. But actually, it is not that bad. There is actually a lot of good work happening, and there are a lot of job openings are there. It's just that people finding the right skill set with the right person. So
Yeah.
that is what I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's difficult is the mass layoffs where it doesn't feel like it's any reflection
Right.
on my effort or it's just something that was beyond my control. And now you're in a position where your income is cut off and
Right.
you've got to fix that. So that feels a lot worse than
Right.
just finding, a good job. There's definitely a lot of job openings out
Right, the
there.
skill gap, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
So because the skill gap I have seen is like, because if you think yourself as a programmer, you would have been replaced now with the AI. For the same
exactly.
classical example, like so, like the type in 2000s, typists are actually the people who can type faster. They're having their best lifetime, right? But later, what happens with all the technology advancements came, even though you are the best typist who can type like more than 120 words per minute with a very good accuracy, still that's a skill, you have it, but
Yeah,
that is an absolute skill, so you cannot have that skill today and you can survive this kind of job market, right? So you need to evolve over time. And unfortunately the same thing is happening for programmers. So if you can be a very good programmer, but if you don't have that problem solving mindset, programmer nowadays, like AI can write a good program than any human being, right? So
yeah,
definitely, so that programming itself is become, maybe it become obsolete. And so that's why you need to have a mindset of like problem solving, because we humans, why we are different from other creatures is like we evolved. So we have seen through so many technologies coming in and so many waves, like right from the electricity, so many revolutions happen. So every time what we try to do is like we have the tinkering mindset, we have the problem solving approach, and use whatever the tools work. So all this kind of AI, everything, these are the better and better tools coming to the humanity to solve bigger problems in a much efficient way. So that's how
yeah,
we need to see, because ultimately I consider myself, I'm not a programmer, like not even a software engineer. I consider myself as an engineer. So that kind of thing, we human advantage, it will definitely put us, is the one which is actually putting us forward across other creatures, right? Like having the
yeah,
problem solving mindset, maybe staying current with the latest tools, and also like tool changes, but the problems don't. Be the engineer
yeah.
who adopts and solve it.
Yeah, great. Third question. What's
Hmm.
the most important financial decision you've made in your career, whether it's about compensation, equity, personal spending, planning for the future?
Well, we tech people are not so good with the financial financial things, but I'll tell
Well,
you one.
I'm actually looking for a good decision, but if you want to go that direction, that's fine.
Yeah, actually, I can talk both. So there are some small wins I had, and also there are some regrets I have. Maybe I can talk about both.
Okay.
So yeah, the small wins I have is like a diversification, I would say. So for example, like we of course for everybody who is working in the company, they'll have their company equity. So which is
Yep.
like one egg is already in the basket, which you don't need to do anything. I mean, like it will be there. And the other thing is like you need to consistently, like maybe we bought our home in 2019. That is the best time anybody could buy home in Bay Area,
Yes,
because
that's pretty
2019
good.
was the sweet spot. Yeah, so that was one good decision I made, and I don't. I mean, I'm happy about it, because that time the property values were less, and also we got it a good interest rate. So that is another thing. And also I like we have like some investment into gold, because nowadays gold is like hedging against the dollar and all this kind of devaluations, right? So like investments into gold, and also another thing is like 401ks and ESPPs, and also like maybe some personal trading, and also HSA. So if you see, like these are like in all the baskets like some kind of diversity. So thanks to my friends and also the people who my colleagues and whoever actually advised me with these things. So I'm at least I see I'm not like a pro, but some kind of diversification I thought it actually helped me. So yeah, being said that, and the other thing which I always wanted, but which I feel I'm still I got late in was like the effect of like starting early and letting it to compound. So that's a very powerful thing. So there are certain things which I started early, like putting in money into 401k, but there are other things like not taking advantage of Roth IRA, these kind of things. So for example, if I go by like as a technical person, I mean as a tech professional, so typically we have like a company offers 401k. So if
Mhm.
you see everybody would match out. That is the level one at least you need to do. Like 401k is free money. Whatever you contribute to the max and let your company also add it. That is level one. So which I was doing right from the day one, but there is a level two thing. Lot of people what they do is they just let the money sit in the default indexing fund, whatever the Fidelity or whatever your 401k providers provides, right? But that's not people ideally you should be doing. You should be consistently evaluating, and you should be like maybe there are free consultation calls with Fidelity and these people, right? And
Mhm.
like or like person people like you, so who give a valuable advice on like, so for example, like the market is going down, so probably you need to move your investments into something like a bond market, or if you see the forecast of market is going to go up, then you need to move into the aggressive stocks investments funding. Nowadays you see like the hardware industry is having a very good time. If you can find some index funds which is actually putting bets on the hardware market, then your investment would be growing high. So that is level 2. You need to evaluate where your money is sitting in your 401k. You need to keep changing that consistently. And that is level 2. There is a level 3. This is something I came to know like maybe a couple of months back. So one of my ex colleague, and he was also my manager, he was telling, so companies like Fidelity, the 401k providers, they only give limited options. They don't give options. For example, I use Fidelity. I mean, we have Fidelity. But if I want to invest money into some very good index fund, like maybe like QQQ or maybe the Vanguard VGT, these kind of things, they don't allow me. So what I need to do, or what this he did in this case is like, so he called Fidelity and he made some of his 401k portfolio into a trading a regular brokerage account, and obviously you can do that I don't know, and at least like 50 to 60% of his account he converted into the regular brokerage account, and there he invested into VGT and QQQ, these kind of things.
Yeah, so
And
so let me just interrupt a second. So that depends on where you work and how your
Mhm,
401k is structured, but there
mhm,
are some plans that where you go in and there's a default set of options. And
mhm.
then I believe at Fidelity, it's called Brokerage Link. You
Right,
can go to Brokerage Link and move
right,
money from it's still in your 401k, but it
exactly.
opens up the investment options that you can do.
Exactly. You're right. Yeah, I think you summarize it very well. So yeah, so if you have done that, because if you see the options Fidelity by default offer may not be growing as much as these options, right? So that is something you need to like that's a level 3. I mean, that kind of knowledge I have seen. So yeah, I really wish I had done that, because there are certain things which grow a lot faster than what where my money in Fidelity index funds sitting in. So that is something I wish I had done that. And another thing people often overlook is like, and ESPP is something everybody should do, and that is, I think, I'm sure everybody in Bay Area, they might be doing it. So apart from ESPP, the other thing is I have seen myself, I have seen a lot of people not doing is HSA. So HSA, we don't see the benefit of HSA contribution, the pre-tax money contribution now, but once we reach the retirement age, so that time that's where we need to spend a lot of money on our health, be it like paying the premiums or be it paying the like out of pocket costs, these kind of things. So that's why it is very important to contribute to pre-tax money HSA, and let that money like invest that money into somewhere it actually grows. So yeah, the people I know, a lot of people, they are like investing everywhere, but HSA is not something where they are not doing. Even I myself did not do until 5 years back. Only 5 years back I started fully throttling my HSA. That is another one thing. And the other thing, yeah, this is an interesting story I heard from one of my friends. So he said their mom was actually, she figured out this is about the Roth IRA account. where you put the post-tax money, but they grow tax-free. So this thing here, so she figured out this way early in her career, and she started investing very early, and she let it compound. So and she did not even choose a fancy stocks or anything. So she just chose the proper like index funds where this is like a safe bets like QQQ, and that grew by the time she was retiring. That grew probably like a million or above. And S&P, if you see on an average, S&P gives 7% of return, right? So she was just giving, and last few years it actually gave more than 7%. So she was just withdrawing whatever the gains every year, and like on a million, like gains of like last time, like the S&P last few years, like more than 10%. She was taking the money out of the IRA account, 100K, tax free. So a 100K tax free is like, you can never imagine like that kind of money, right? So that is like a total game changer for the lifestyle. So that means her own money, the 1 million, it is still there, and this 100K or 70K at least S&P gives, that money is actually every year she is withdrawing that money.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot of technical aspects to that strategy, though. So I just want to
mhm.
be clear. You really need to look up the rules around that because there could be penalties and all kinds of things. So it's not as simple as just put it in the 401k, the Roth IRA, and then take it out. But it can work for a lot of people.
Right. Yes, exactly. So you need to evaluate for your case, but there are a lot of people who have the ways to they can put money into IRA, right? So if you have the way, that is best thing you do, so that it will compound, and also once you retire, you can take the money without any paying the taxes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, those are the kind of things I learned, and my regrets, my regrets
Great.
too.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there's more to come too, because
Yeah.
they're always changing the tax laws. They're always changing the investment opportunities. So
Yep.
things are
That's
always
true.
changing. Well, thanks so much for joining today, Venkata. I really
Sure.
appreciate the way that you make complex ideas understandable, and you really shared a lot of good stuff. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, just as a reminder, this is sponsored by the No Regret Money Plan, where tech leaders gain control and clarity of their finances so they can live out the rest of their life with intention. If you want to know more about us, look me up on LinkedIn, Joe Morgan at Best Financial Life.